often hear about mangroves and seagrass being a natural buffer against storms and floods. We are told they filter contaminants, remove carbon dioxide, and add value to the local ecology and economy. But what exactly are mangroves?
Well, mangroves are what I would call semi-aquatic plants that are mostly found in coastal areas. They normally grow in what we call brackish saltwater. You have the red and the black mangrove. When you go up on the coast, everybody see it. So that's what mangroves are. From the Christmas Columbus days or before, when you come here, there was a lot of mangrove more on their coast or along our river in the lowland areas. And you know, in Jamaica, tourism is a big thing. People want to see white sand beach. So most of our hotels are on the beach. So some of the mangroves are lost there. Then we have communities building in there. And what we have to do, we have to cut down some of the mangroves to put the communities. So we have been losing a lot of mangroves to development. And sometimes we lose some of them to hurricanes too. So put all of that together, we're losing our mangrove at a rapid rate. And they play a very important role, as I said, in protecting our coast. So when a hurricane comes, it's like a barrier.
Mangrove roots are important habitats for a wide variety of fish.
A lot of the fish that we eat, if they breed outside in the, as I would say, in the big sea or open water, they become easy food for other fish. So a number of the fish come into the mangrove, lay their eggs, and it's a nursery. So imagine what happens is if you're not getting a replenish of your fish population. After a while, you have no more. So the mangroves are important fish sanctuary. And for the people who love them big mangrove snapper and all of that, if we lose our mangrove, it will impact the fishing.
The sustainability of Jamaica's fishery is directly dependent on the health of mangroves. So too, the well-being of a number of other species. Jamaica's mangroves are teeming with 18 mammals and over 250 species of fish, including parrot, grunt, and snapper. It's also home to approximately 200 species of birds.
It is a home for several birds, wetland birds, the big egret, them ducks, you name it. Some of them fly as far as North America and come over here to stay, and they are in our mangrove. Some of the mammals that we find in our mangroves, we find are bats. We have 21 species of bats. 5 of them are found nowhere else in the world, and they feed and forage in our mangroves. So it's a home, and we also have a fish-eating bat that in that wetland, some of these open areas, go and catch some of the smaller fish. And you can find, so those are the mammals that we typically find in the mangrove.
The whispers of the mangrove drown out the stealth of another inhabitant, some call the king of the mangrove. Basking at the top of the ecological food chain is the Jamaican crocodile, or the king of the mangroves. The crocodile is of economic and ecological importance, symbolic even, as this reptile is found on the island's coat of arms.
Well, if you think about it, from the early part, you heard about the taínos, and that the taínos had interaction with the crocodiles. And there are stuff in the literature that in the earlier time, there might have been some hunting of the crocodiles. And if you look at Jamaica, the money, and look at our coat of arms, the American crocodile, which I strongly tell everybody to call it the Jamaica crocodile, which is a common name, and people feel more to the crocodile. It's there. So it's part of us. It is our largest native animal. Native means naturally found. It's not endemic, it is found in other countries, but it's our largest. So it's a top predator. So it was here before humans were.
What are the roles of crocodiles in the ecosystem?
Okay, so the Jamaica crocodile, as we see right here, is the top predator. And the job of the top predator is to keep things in check. And when you say that, you have to think of it, how does that fit in? So a lot of people, if you think about a river in a wetland, you have the crocodile, you have several fish. You have the predator fish, and you have something else that eat that predator fish and all of that. Now the crocodiles keep that in check. So suppose you remove like the tarpon, you move that fish out, one of the predators. So you get rid of the crocodile. Then one of those predators number will grow, and it will eat off another fish, which go down the chain, and it would have deleterious effect on our ecosystem. Some of the services we not even know right now what is it that they do. So you have the top predator, it keeps things in check. And another way you need to look at it if you think of about somebody being sick in a room, one person being sick, come in a room, it infects everybody. The crocodile, in a way, would control that sick fish, that sick animal, and others won't get sick. So they play a balance role in our ecosystem.
The presence of crocodiles in the mangroves during the periods of drought scares away land animals who otherwise would drink the limited water supplies needed for aquatic life and systems. All across Jamaica, mangroves are being lost, due in part to direct and indirect pollution, including agrochemicals and a flood of plastic waste. Garbage impedes the growth of mangroves. In some cases, it kills them. The loss of mangroves has led to Jamaica's coastline being exposed to storms that are increasingly more frequent and intense. The possible impact on Jamaica's food security is sobering due to the negative long-term effects on Jamaica's fish stock. A 2019 World Bank study titled Forces of Nature notes that more than 770 hectares of mangroves have been lost in Jamaica over the past 2 decades. Laws have been put in place to try and stem the tide of mangrove destruction in Jamaica.
There's the Forestry Act, which governs places like if you have a sanctuary or if you have a protected area, forest reserve. You can't go in a forest reserve and cut a tree. You can't have like a charcoal scene less than 1 kilometer, within 1 kilometer of the sanctuary. So there is laws in terms from the forestry part, and then you have NEPA part now. I'm not too sure which one of the planning act, but you can't just go in and do a wide-scale cutting of mangroves. When people are now doing development, they have to do what we call an environmental impact assessment, which is if they are planning to clear an area, they have to work out, make sure that the development don't destroy all the mangroves. If they are going to do it, are they going to replant an area, or if they're going to put some of the money, the damage that they do, they calculate how much money the damage costs. And another area where they're doing a project, if we look at Palisades, where they're planting a mangrove there, now somebody would invest that money in there to make sure that we have more mangroves along the Palisades. So there are laws there to protect the mangroves. Well, I have a colleague, which is Dr. Camilla Trench. He has done a number of mangrove restoration projects. And one of the things that he always tells me, that initially in the past, people just think that restoring a mangrove is just planting mangrove plants. But that's not how it works. You have to find out what is the reason why the mangrove not growing in the area for doing restoration. So it could be a simple part. Every mangrove needs water. The water is like the blood in our body. So it needs water to survive. So if you plant it in an area that is flooded all the time, the mangroves won't grow. If you plant it where there's little water, it will affect it. So first you have to go in that area. You have to find out to solve the hydrological issues, and then you can plant. You can go and plant seeds. And sometimes there are trees there already that are producing the seeds. And if you just fix some of the physical issues that I mentioned a while ago, like channeling the water and all of that, the mangrove will naturally return. So there are different ways. However, to do all of this work takes money. And meantime, if you're trying to like grade back, grade down a property so the water can come back in, you have to get a grader, you have to get workmen, and all of that comes at a cost. And I always tell people, environment to care, to make a change, to restore, needs money and it needs personnel.
The restoration of mangroves is attributed in part to animals and birds.
If we go back into a healthy ecosystem, every animal plays a role. So you remember I mentioned about bats in the mangrove. So what some of these bats will do, when they feed on a fruit, they spread the seeds. And you have other birds there, like the herons and that, they sleep on top. They provide nutrients, their droppings provide nutrients for the trees to grow.
Crocodiles are also a major player in the preservation and restoration of mangroves.
How do crocodiles help to restore the mangroves?
A very good question. So when you go into a healthy mangrove wetland, You go in there, you see crocodiles, you see birds, you see fish, and all that. You have a healthy ecosystem going on. And if you look at that principle, then you look at how we restore it. Now, crocodiles, as our friend writes here, as you can see now, they live in these ponds and they dig under, create burrows and stuff like that. And if you think during the dry season, you have water being restored. And now going back into the wetland, you have waterways like that, and the waterways is the heart of a wetland. So by they creating burrows, areas where crabs can go and you have water going under, this also provides a perfect area for mangroves to grow. And people like, what? Crocodile does that? Yes. Part of its job, as you can see, it digs, it burrows under, water is stored there, and mangrove need water. So by doing that alone, that activity encourages mangroves in the area. So I'm not going to say the crocodile plants it, but it creates the area for the seeds to grow.
Laws are in place to protect the king of the mangrove.
Jamaican crocodiles are protected by law under the Wildlife Protection Act. That means they should not be hunted, captured, or killed.
Persons found guilty of this offense are liable to a fine of up to $100,000 or 12 months in prison.
Unfortunately, what has happened over the last 15 years or so is the animal has a value now in the illegal meat trade. So what is happening is people are going out into the wild and are poaching the reptile and selling the meat illegally. Unfortunately, the laws are there in Jamaica to protect not only the crocodile, which is a protected species or endangered species internationally as well as locally, but the laws are not being enforced. The resources are just not there to police the areas or monitor, or even if you catch people, doing poaching, whether it be sea turtles, crocodiles. What is happening is the system takes forever. And a lot of the time, the convictions, if they do get any convictions, are paltry. It's almost ridiculous now. So what this sanctuary is doing, it's working like an insurance policy. It holds stock animals for breeding purposes, for what we call a Head Start program, which can be adjusted year by year depending on how we breed. And we can inoculate the wild habitat with young crocodiles, a few at a time, to help ensure that the species is not completely eradicated from certain areas.
The National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, mounted a Crocwise educational outreach program targeting communities and schools around crocodile habitats. This to develop an appreciation for the reptile. But more needs to be done.
One of the problems they're having with crocodiles in Jamaica is that we have people hunting them, and people don't like, or people say that they're bad. Yes, the crocodile is a dangerous animal. I won't tell you that it's something cuddly, but it's have the role. One of the things what I want to leave to viewers is that we have laws in saying protecting the mangrove, we have laws in saying to protect the crocodile, but the protection comes with you. You have to be the one who out there and see somebody cutting down the mangrove or somebody stoning a crocodile, and you tell them to stop. If they don't stop, report it to NEPA and to the nearest police station. We people have to act more, and if we act more, we solve a lot of our issues. So I want to leave back. The Jamaica crocodile is our crocodile, our animal. It's on our coats of arms. A number of other islands don't have a special animal like that. And it's just sad to see what we can do. We can do enough to protect it.
Next time on Protecting Our Own, Jamaica's Crocodile Whisperer speaks of providing a safe haven for this endangered but vital species. I'm Gabriel Samuel.